There's a storm across the valley. The clouds are rolling in. The afternoon is heavy on your shoulders. There's a truck out on the 4-lane, a mile or more away. The whining of his wheels just makes it colder.
Welcome to Community Forum. My name is Priscilla Almquist-Olsen, your host today on this community discussion panel. And today we're interviewing two people who provide wonderful services to our community, and a community which also has many Easton volunteers. So I want to welcome the brand new, spanking new CEO of School on Wheels of Massachusetts, Steve Telesmanick, and also the community outreach coordinator, Barbara Fox. Welcome both of you to Community Forum.
Thank you, Priscilla. I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much for having us.
You're so welcome. Your organization is well known, but by name, but I'm not sure that it's so well known by what you do and what your mission is. So, Barbara, you've been with the organization for quite a number of years. Why don't you give us a little background on the history of the organization?
Well, I can tell you that School on Wheels was founded by Cheryl Whopper, who was an Easton resident. It was founded back in 2004. And Cheryl was actually reading an article in a Family Circle magazine. She was actually looking for a pumpkin cheesecake recipe at the time, and she stumbled across an article in the magazine about a woman, Agnes Stevens, who had started an organization in California called School on Wheels. She had seen children outside playing during school hours. And from there, Agnes founded the organization. So Cheryl was intrigued by it. She contacted Agnes, and that's how School on Wheels started, all launched from a pumpkin cheesecake search. So from there, Cheryl worked on the building the organization. It all started out of her house in Easton, and through all the hard work of community members, she stuffed backpacks in the basement of her home. She did tutoring at her kitchen table, and slowly but surely brought the organization to where we are today.
So would you give us a brief statement about the mission of School on Wheels?
Steve, would you like to do that?
Sure. The mission of School on Wheels of Massachusetts is to educate kids, empower families with the goal of ending homelessness through education. So I'm really excited to be joining such a wonderful organization. My background started at the YMCA in Boston, and we oversaw a shelter that was serving women and their children. And we partnered with a lot of local agency like School on Wheels to provide wraparound services for agencies like School on Wheels. And I was also part of the Y in Cape Cod, where we had a program for at-risk youth in high school and put them on a path towards college. And I really love SOMA's program called the Bridge Program, which works with children that are in high school and gets them on a path towards college and beyond.
Wonderful. So it's not just about tutoring, helping students with their homework. It's more than that. It helps them to envision themselves in ways that perhaps they wouldn't have in terms of their future careers. Now, I know you have mentors too as part of this program. Could you one of you talk a little bit about the mentors? And I'm talking about those who mentor. I think, don't you have people that mentor postgraduate students?
Yes, this is our bridge program, which was built off the foundation of tutoring. Our goal was to stay with these children longer, beyond the tutoring sessions from second, third, fourth grade. We want to stay them through high school and beyond. And the bridge program actually partners high school and college students with a mentor, someone who has gone through the process of applying for college, applying for financial aid, helping them with their coursework, doing weekly check-ins. Navigating college is extremely challenging. And I'm just thinking back to when I went through college, I had some positive role models in my life that were able to help me navigate all these channels. And that's really what SOMA's Bridge program does. It helps these students navigate that path towards graduation. And a lot of these mentors are in the workforce and try to help set them up with jobs. And it's just such a rewarding experience to see some of the students that may first get a backpack when they're in first grade through our Tools for Success program, be a part of our tutoring program, and then later on part of our bridge program. It's really nice to see the continuum of care that we're able to provide for these students who really need us. I was shocked to find out that there are over 24,000 students in Massachusetts that are experiencing some form of homelessness. And SOMA believes that educating these students will end homelessness. So we work to do that and partner with other agencies that provide different types of services to these students, where education that's our bread and butter. That's where we feel we can make the biggest impact on these students.
So Barbara, tell me a little bit about some of your partners that you've acquired over the years.
So we have two types of partners. We have some of the agencies that we work with. Old Colony Y is one of them. And we also work with Father Bill's in Mainspring as well. JRI, as a matter of fact, we have JRI coming in tomorrow to pick up some winter warm and wellness bags that we put together for the children. So these are some of the agencies that we work with. Some of them are, all of them actually, I should say, are sheltering children. And also we work with schools. So that's another big component of who we work with there. Every school has a homeless liaison. And we work with those homeless liaisons to provide them with our backpacks and even other services that children might need. So we work with all kinds. For instance, we also work with another partner called Reach, and they actually harbor people, families from abused domestic violence. So they have shelters throughout Massachusetts, and they work to help them shelter in place. And we also provide them backpacks and services where needed. So that's on one side, but we also have on the community side, we have community partners who help us bring the backpacks and other services to us. So we have wonderful, like for instance, the Northeastern Savings Bank, that's one. So that's a great community partner. Harbor One folks will come in the community to help us prepare backpacks. We have a very strong presence at Oliver Ames High School and the Easton Middle School. So we have a lot of kids coming in from those schools to help us prepare backpacks, lots of families. So we have lots of partners on both sides. So it's really wonderful.
Tell me a little bit, Barbara, about the backpack program, because I know you're in charge of that.
Yes. So this past year, we have given out over 6,000 backpacks to students throughout Massachusetts. So we We serve mostly in the Southeast region, and this year we moved heavily into the Boston area. So we were able to give about 3,000 bags in Boston. We've given 1,000 bags in Brockton. So we really did a great job. I have to say, this is where the families really came in this past year. They really came through very strong to help us prepare backpacks, because a lot of our corporate partners weren't able to join us this year to help us in the preparation. So our backpack is very different from most agencies, because we're really focused on making sure that that student has everything they need in the backpack. So a K student or a second grader gets something completely different from a high school student. So we are very, we look at our teachers lists that we get, and we've had teachers vet them to make sure that we're offering everything that a child might need. So this helps the parent. It's the beginning of setting the stage for a great school year for the kids. And I can't say this enough. Every kid wants to fit in on that first day of school. Now, this year it was completely different because of the pandemic, where a marker had to be placed for the kids to start the school year. Some, been in the classroom. I think actually today, as a matter of fact, Brockton is heading back into the classroom. This is after a year. So the kids in a shelter need that backpack for a locker and to keep pens and pencils and practicing tools. In a normal year, a child just wants to fit in. So that tells you a lot about our backpack program. And it's just the beginning, because the next stage would be our tutoring program.
Okay, and briefly, Barbara, I know you're in charge of that and reaching out to volunteers. Can you tell us a little bit about what the opportunities are there for our viewing audience?
Sure. So right now we're still practicing, safety in our community room. So we can only have about 8 people at one time, but our community room is always active with projects. So we very much, you can contact me, go to soma.org, our website, and get in touch with us, and we can arrange for you to come in. We especially need the help. We need help all the way through the school year, but as we lead up into the back to school season, that's our busiest time in the community room, and we welcome volunteers to come in.
So if one wants to volunteer as a tutor, that tutoring takes place at your East Bridgewater headquarters. Is that correct?
It's not. It actually, right now, we often, so let me talk about our tutoring program next. So that's the next stage, where we have volunteers go right into shelter to help prepare the students, with their schoolwork, with games, with all kinds of activities to help them in their social emotional growth, including their educational needs. So a volunteer would go right into the shelter and work one-on-one with the student. So of course, again, because of the pandemic this year, it's a little bit different. Some of the all of the shelters we cannot go into because of COVID. We've launched some online tutoring to help the kids. And we have different little projects that we're working on to keep them engaged. There's a lot of screen fatigue right now with the kids, especially children who are 100% out of school. So it's harder for them. And again, we had talked about attention span and all of that. It's really hard for the kids. They need to run around and do things, especially the younger children. So we're hoping we're hoping in the new school year that we can get back into the shelter and start working with the kids one-on-one. I can't say enough about what a wonderful experience it is to be working with a child. Even reading a book or just showing up for these kids on a regular basis is half of it. Because they have such an irregular life when they're living in a shelter. So going in and being that one person that is a regular really helps them, and they really enjoy it. And it's a wonderful reciprocal relationship. Being a tutor myself, it's immensely enjoyable and gives a lot back to that child.
Okay. Do you have a need presently for tutors so that people who are watching this program might consider volunteering?
And I'll jump in there as well. Thank you, Barbara, for giving an overview of our tutoring program. And I would also add that there were different stages throughout the pandemic which we were able to interact with the students. I was actually surprised to see, actually not too surprised to see, that the students' grades unfortunately have been slipping due to online learning. And that's really what our tutoring program is designed to do, is to prevent the slip of the grades. So we're continually trying to work to set up remote tutoring sessions. We're extremely thankful for a partner that donated 120 laptops because we found out that some of these families in the shelters were only getting one laptop per family, and they would have to share it with 3 or 4 siblings. So we were able to get these students the technology and then set up remote online tutoring sessions to help address some of those classes where they may have slipped with their grades. But also we're starting to work with our partners and brainstorm some ways that we could start to connect with them in person prior to September, because that's a long ways away. And it's only starting to get warmer and warmer outside. And there are some areas where we're able to do after school or evening sessions outside with the students. So we are looking for volunteers, perhaps that have been vaccinated or not, to get involved, of course, in the backpack program, but also in tutoring as well. These volunteers, we train them and we prepare them for what it might be like to work with a student. You'd be surprised that you don't necessarily need to know algebra or chemistry. It's often guiding them through the different steps that may be necessary to just stay focused on achieving the goal of accomplishing their homework. So, of course, anyone who wants to volunteer, we would train you and set you up in a safe environment, because the kids need us. There's still a need out there, and we're really looking to provide that tutoring services for them.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, have any of the students who've gone through the program come back themselves as volunteers?
I can answer that. Yes, the answer is yes, and it's beautiful. Actually, I am going to tell you a story that started in the Easton community. We have a community member, Steve Searcy. He's a longtime Easton resident, and he started working with a child when he was in 6th grade, if I'm not mistaken, and they have had a partnership right from the beginning. And the boy's name is Darren. So because Steve worked with him and then mentored him as well, he felt really, back when he was in 6th grade, he said he felt dumb in math. And Steve just helped him along, and they developed this wonderful relationship, continued on through mentoring, and now the young man is actually working to become a master electrician. He's almost finished with that licensing, and he has come in our community room, and he is also come to a couple events and helped us in that way as well. So this is what we strive for. This is the perfect picture. We want to wrap our services around these kids to make success in their life going forward.
Wow, so impressive. And so tell me, speaking of going forward, Steve, what is your vision for School on Wheels in the future?
Yes, well, there certainly is a need for more service of these students, unfortunately. Again, I go back to the over 24,000 students in just Massachusetts alone experiencing homelessness. And our community team does amazing work to get about 6,000 or 7,000 backpacks out to the community, but there's a need for more. So we want to be able to serve more kids that need these tools and supplies. Also, our tutoring sites, we operate 17 sites throughout Massachusetts, and there has been request for more sites. Once we learn and connect with these shelter partners and start setting up tutoring sites at these shelters, they see the success from their families and their students that are getting the tutoring services, and they want our services at additional shelters as well. So we're looking to scale our programs to ensure that we're able to provide high quality tutoring if we are to expand into new locations. So right now we're just identifying locations that we'd be able to maximize and serve the most students who really need us as well.
Wow, I don't think most of us had any idea. 17 sites throughout the state. Wow, impressive. And and you, Barbara, you coordinate getting all those volunteers in all those places. Is that correct?
Yes. But we also have an education director, Lynn McManus. So she does an excellent job working with our volunteer tutors. And she designates where they go based on where they live and by site. So she does a great job placing people. And I'm on the backpack end, so I have a lot of people coming in and out almost all the time to help us with different initiatives. And then on our bridge program, Jonathan Vincent, he works to assign mentors to the students who would like to have one. So we're the 3 program directors, and we each work with different volunteers.
Okay, wow. It's complicated, but it's also simple because
yes, it is.
Yeah, I mean, you have a mission that is obviously needed and appreciated, not just by the communities, but also by the students themselves. And I know it's a two-way street. Before I became a lawyer, I was a school teacher. I taught English. And during the 60s, I was one of those activist, feminist, anti-war, civil rights activist person. And I did tutoring in a urban setting with mostly Black and Latino children. And I set up a whole tutoring program. This is in 1968, I think, quite a while. So I understand. So my heart is there with you too. I understand how important it is. I took my students from my 8th grade white students from farmland in Portland, Michigan, and they became the tutors for the children, in mainly grammar school children. But then later I got involved in the GED program. So I was teaching adults who wanted to get their high school diploma. So I know the value of that because, and I remember one young woman who was a single mom. She had this infant, and I would pick her up, and more people in the community would help her so that she could get her high school diploma. And it's complicated. People have needs that need to be filled, and it takes a village. As Hillary Clinton said a long time ago, takes a village.
It's so true. And I think sometimes with a lot of these kids, I think the caring heart is so incredibly important. So along with the skill, And certainly right now, as Steve mentioned, the pandemic, all of our children are struggling with learning. But if you think about a child who's in a homeless situation, you know, they have other obstacles that they're working to surmount. So having a caring adult behind them and helping them along, I think goes a long, long way. And I certainly hope when they receive a backpack that it's always remembered as someone really cares and someone is really invested in their education.
Right, and I think it's a matter of self-esteem too. You're building
Yes.
that. You're giving them the courage to reach for the stars. And that reminds me of the gala that you had last week. I enjoyed being a recipient of that virtual gala. So tell us, people can donate funds to your program. If they were to do that, how would they do that?
Sure. So Priscilla, well, first of all, that's very interesting to hear you were part of a program similar to School on Wheels in the past. It's really that mission of tutoring and connecting with these students. That's pretty amazing that you were a part of that. But yes, you referenced the gala. We're just under 2 weeks off from our gala. It was 2 weeks ago, and we raised over $95,000 for School on Wheels to go back to these tutoring, these backpack and these mentoring programs for the students. So we're so thankful that the community really stepped up and helped us achieve our goal. Now, to get involved, you can certainly go to sowma.org, SOWMA.org, but also we posted a replay of our virtual gala online on our YouTube channel. It's also posted on our website as well. But I was joking with the team last Friday. I set the gala up on our big screen TV on a Friday night instead of movie night. And gosh, it was just an inspiring 35-minute video that showed amazing programs that the community really came together and provided these programs for the students. So it's a really inspiring show. We would encourage you to check it out. And then, of course, get involved. Volunteer in our community room. Volunteer to be a tutor. Volunteer to be a mentor. We need your help. The students need our help.
Okay, well, what's your website address?
SOMA.org. Sowma.org.
Okay, it's SOWMA, right?
Yes, did I miss the W? Sorry.
Okay.
SOWMA.org. Sowma.
Yeah. Well, getting back to my Michigan story, I must say that it was the white children who benefited more in the long run. I mean, it helped the little kids. And I had a Volkswagen Beetle, and I would go around the neighborhood and pick up the kids, you know, because they'd be outside playing, they'd forget it was Sunday afternoon when they had to come with their homework. And yeah, it's very, you know, it made a big difference.
Yeah,
it fills up your heart for sure.
Yes.
We hear from our volunteers all the time that it's really heartwarming, and it's something that they look forward to going to. Giving back, there's no better feeling than giving back to someone who needs it. And
Yes.
Volunteering certainly brings that.
Absolutely.
Okay, we're going to post at the end of this program the contact information so people can have it. All right. Anything you want to add, either one of you?
I want to say thank you for inviting us, Priscilla. I really appreciate it. And as an Easton resident, I am so proud of our community and everything that the Easton community does to support School on Wheels, certainly. But the activism is incredible. So I just want to thank every single person in the community of Easton, of which I reside for 30 years now, for all the support that you've given us, and I hope you continue to come.
Thank you so much. Well, it's been a privilege and an honor to have both of you here and to really fill in the gaps of information about School on Wheels. because we all know about it, but now we have a much deeper understanding. So Steve Telesmanick, CEO, and Barbara Fox, Outreach Coordinator and Backpack Specialist. Thank you so much for joining us today. And
Thank
to
you
our,
so much for having us, Priscilla.
Thank you.
you're welcome. And to our viewers at home, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this program and been as informed as I have been, and about the wonderful work that's being done in your community. So please support School on Wheels, which had its origin here in the town of Easton with Cheryl Opfer in her basement. And look what it's become today. Help increase its future success by volunteering. If you can't volunteer, give a donation. Okay, so thank you again. Be well, all the best. Until next time, Priscilla Almquist-Olsen wishing you well.